Saint Julia, also known as Saint Julia of Carthage, Saint Julia of Corsica, or Saint Julia of Nonza, was a Carthaginian girl born to noble, aristocratic parents in Carthage. Over time, Carthage was subject to many barbaric attacks, weakening the city's defenses. In 429 Gaiseric, the king of the Vandals and 80,000 tribesmen, all his people, crossed suddenly from Spain to Africa, and in 439 took Carthage by surprise. During the attack, Julia was taken from her family and sold into slavery by the Vandals. She was purchased by a pagan merchant of Syria named Eusebius. Despite the trauma of being enslaved and taken from her home, Julia never complained or felt sorry for herself. By being patient and cheerful, Julia was able to find comfort in her place in the world. Julia passionately loved God. When her own duties were done and she was granted the servant's time off, she spent her spare time either in reading or insisting on praying. She grew pale and thin from fasting despite the threats and blandishments of her master, but her mind, intent on heaven, fed daily on God's words. Eusebius was charmed by Julia's hard work, commitment, and devotion. Eusebius took Julia with him to Gaul. On their ship, carrying an expensive cargo, anchored at Cap Corsica for the night. From a distance, Eusebius saw that sacrifices were about to be conducted by the pagans, and immediately descended with all his people to attend. Julia was left on her own some distance away from the festival, because she refused to be defiled by the superstitious ceremonies she openly hated. On that day, they were slaying a bull to their devils. The choice of a bull, Poseidon's animal, suggests that they had intruded on the yearly rites of the Sacrum Promontorium. While they were celebrating by becoming intoxicated and Julia was sighing deeply for their error, it was announced to Felix by his satellites that there was a girl in the ship who derided the worship of the gods. This son of the serpent asked Eusebius, "Why did not all who are with you come down to worship our gods? I heard that there is a girl who derides the names of our gods." Eusebius replied, "I was not successful in moving the girl from the superstition of the Christians, nor was I able to bring her to our religion by threatening. If she were not necessary because of her most faithful service, I would already have had her tortured." Then Felix Saxo, the governor of the island, gave him some options. "Either compel her to give offerings to our gods, or give her to me in exchange for whichever 4 of my handmaidens please you, or for the price that was set for her." Eusebius replied, "If you wanted to give me all your property, it would not come to the value of her service." The penalty for disrespecting the rights of Roman citizens was severe, and the girl was the property of Eusebius. He could do as he liked with her. However, disrespecting the state gods was a crime punishable by death, which the magistrate could only overlook at his own risk. Having gotten counsel, the most poisonous serpent prepared the banquet, where Eusebius became intoxicated and fell into a deep sleep. Straightway, a raging mob of Gentiles boarded the ship and placed Julia on the shore. Felix said, "Sacrifice to the gods, girl. I will give your master as much as he likes and dissolve the bond of your state." The tribunician power included manumission. However, Julia replied, "Libertas mea Christi servitium est, cui ego quodidi pura mente servio. Ceterum istum vestrum errorum non solum non venerer, verum idiom detester." My liberty is the service of Christ, whom I serve every day with a pure mind. As for that error of yours, I not only do not venerate it, I detest it. The tribune ordered that she be struck blows to the face. That done, she said that as Christ was struck for her, why should she not be struck for him? Then the most cruel serpent ordered that she be tortured by the hair, which is having her hair torn from her head. Then she was flogged, to which she replied in the same way, that if Christ was flogged and crowned with thorns for her, why should she not endure this diminishment of the hair, which she calls the vexillum fidei, the flag of faith? The serpent, fearful of being indicted for cruelty, hurried the process along by ordering the handmaiden of Christ to be placed on the patibulum of a cross. Eusebius was awakened. As he let go the bonds of sleep, the saint, with mind released from the flesh, victorious over suffering, took happy flight with the angels to the stars of heaven. Her body was carried off by monks of the Isle of Gorgon, but in 763, the king of Lombardy, Desiderius, had her relics moved to Brescia, a city in the northern Italian region of Lombardy, where the memory of Saint Julia is celebrated with great devotion. Saint Julia is often depicted with the palm of martyrdom and the crucifix. She is the patron saint of Corsica, Livorno, torture victims, and pathologies of the hand and the feet. Her feast day is celebrated on May 23rd,